Trump wants to buy Greenland and threatens to leave NATO almost weekly. Ever wonder if America's really about to turn its back on its closest allies? Today, I'll explain what's really happening with Greenland and NATO, like you're 5 years old. By the end, you'll understand whether this is genuine hostility or just negotiation theater. You'll also see why Greenland matters way more than the defense talking points suggest. Here's what everyone gets wrong about this situation. When you hear US might leave NATO, your brain probably jumps to some apocalyptic scenario where American troops start shooting at British soldiers. That's not how any of this works, and here's why. NATO isn't just a military alliance where everyone pinky swears to defend each other. It's a massive economic ecosystem worth trillions. Think of it like your gym membership, where you're locked into their ecosystem. Sure, you signed up to work out, but really, you're locked in. The protein shakes, the personal training upsells, the branded water bottles. Walking away means untangling way more than just the treadmill. Europe buys American weapons worth billions every year. They use American intelligence systems everywhere. American defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon have built entire revenue models around NATO existing exactly as it is. American tech companies run infrastructure across Europe. American banks finance European projects constantly. The dollar dominates because NATO creates stability that makes everyone want to park their money in US assets. Leaving NATO wouldn't just hurt Europe. It would devastate the American corporations who've spent 70 years building on this alliance. The defense industry would lose their most reliable customer base overnight. The US military establishment and business world would never allow a genuine break. So what's Trump actually doing with all these threats? It's leverage, plain and simple, to get what he wants. It's pure negotiation posturing to pressure Europe harder. He's playing the "I might leave" card to pressure European countries into spending more on their own defense budgets. Most NATO members are supposed to spend 2% of their GDP on defense, but for years, a bunch of countries just didn't pay their share. They paid less, knowing America would pick up the slack. We're the friend who ends up covering the whole dinner bill while everyone else can't find their wallet. Trump's strategy is basically saying, pay your fair share or I'm not showing up next time. It's not a genuine threat to become enemies. It's the international relations version of your landlord threatening eviction. He doesn't actually want you gone, he just wants his money on time. Now let's talk Greenland, because this is where the real strategy emerges. Everyone focuses on the military angle first, but that's not the real story. Oh, it's about Arctic defense or China's expanding north. And sure, all of that's true enough. The Arctic is becoming strategically important as climate change turns frozen wastelands into navigable waterways. Controlling Greenland would give the US a massive geographic advantage for radar installations and missile defense system. It's like owning the corner lot in a neighborhood that's about to get gentrified. But here's what nobody talks about, the part that actually matters most. Greenland sits on absolutely massive deposits of rare earth minerals. We're talking the raw materials you need for batteries, smartphones, electric vehicles, wind turbines, solar panels, and advanced missiles. Basically everything that powers modern life and the technology of the future. Right now, China controls roughly 70% of global rare earth production. They have a near monopoly on the stuff that makes your phone work, your car run, and your country's defense systems operate. This is the real reason Greenland matters so much. Breaking China's rare earth monopoly would fundamentally shift global power dynamics. Imagine you've been buying all your groceries from one store for years, and they keep raising prices. Then suddenly a new supermarket opens across the street with the same products. Your old store just lost all their leverage overnight. That's what Greenland represents, a way for the US to say, we don't need to depend on you anymore, to China. It's economic independence disguised as military strategy. Defense positioning is the cover story that sounds good on cable news. Resource control is the actual mission that determines who leads the next century. Think about it this way. We're heading into a future where everything runs on batteries and renewable energy. Whoever controls the materials that make those technologies possible controls the future. They control it the same way controlling oil controlled the 20th century. You remember how much chaos happens when oil supplies get threatened? Wars in the Middle East, gas prices spiking, entire economies wobbling. Now imagine that same dynamic, except instead of oil, it's the rare earth elements that make literally everything electronic function. China's sitting on that power right now, and they know it. They could theoretically choke off supply to the US and Europe tomorrow. Suddenly, your new electric car can't get built. Your military can't manufacture advanced weapon systems. Your entire green energy transition grinds to a halt because you can't make solar panels or wind turbines without these materials. That's not hypothetical. China already restricted rare earth exports to Japan back in 2010 during a territorial dispute. Japan's tech industry nearly panicked. They realized overnight how dependent they were on Chinese goodwill for materials they absolutely needed. Greenland changes that equation completely. If the US controlled those deposits, we'd have our own supply chain, independent of China. We could manufacture everything domestically without worrying about Beijing weaponizing access to critical materials. It's the ultimate insurance policy for America's future. Not just military defense, but economic and technological sovereignty. You're not just buying land. You're buying freedom from dependence on a geopolitical rival. Denmark, which technically owns Greenland, isn't exactly thrilled about this proposal. It's like your roommate's friend asking if they can buy your bedroom. But the pressure's real because everyone understands what's actually at stake. This matters to you because these decisions shape what your life looks like 10 or 20 years from now. If China maintains monopoly control over rare earths, they have leverage over everything. From your phone upgrade to whether your country can defend itself to how expensive that electric vehicle becomes. If the US secures alternative supplies through Greenland or elsewhere, it shifts who has power in negotiations. Who sets prices, and who controls the technology that runs your daily existence? It's not abstract geopolitics happening in some far-off frozen island. It's about whether you're paying reasonable prices for the tech you need or getting gouged. But here's the catch. Even if the US somehow acquired Greenland, which Denmark has said repeatedly will never happen, there's still a problem. Actually extracting those minerals is incredibly complicated. We're talking about one of the harshest environments on the planet. Mining operations would cost billions, take years to develop, and face massive environmental pushback. It's not like you can just show up with a shovel and start digging. You need infrastructure, labor, equipment that can function in extreme cold. You need probably a decade of regulatory approvals and environmental studies. Plus, Greenland's population of 56,000 people might have some opinions about their home becoming a giant strip mine. The environmental concerns aren't trivial. Rare earth mining is notoriously dirty business worldwide. The extraction process produces toxic waste and radioactive byproducts. China's willing to tolerate the environmental damage because they prioritize economic dominance. Western countries face much stricter environmental regulations and public opposition. So even if America controlled Greenland's deposits, actually mining them might face years of lawsuits and protests. It's the ultimate long game, potential that won't pay off quickly, but it could fundamentally change global power structures if someone commits to the investment. So where does this leave us? Here's the reality. The US isn't becoming a NATO enemy anytime soon. That's theater for the cameras. What's happening is a recalibration of how much America's willing to subsidize European defense while China grows stronger. Trump's NATO threats are negotiating tactics designed to extract more defense spending from allies who've been underpaying for decades. It's transactional diplomacy, crude, loud, but ultimately aimed at reshuffling financial commitments. Not burning down alliances that benefit American business and military interests too much to abandon. The real story is Greenland. And it's not really about where to put radar stations. It's about rare earth minerals, the resource that determines who controls the technology of the future. The defense positioning narrative is what sells to voters who understand military bases. The rare earth play is what actually drives decision-making in rooms where corporate executives map out the next 50 years. You're watching two different stories unfold simultaneously. The public one about NATO and military power, and the hidden one about supply chains and economic dominance. One's designed for headlines and campaign rallies. The other's designed to win the century. To recap, the US won't become a NATO enemy because the alliance benefits American economic interests far too much. Trump's threats are leverage plays to get Europe to spend more on defense. Greenland's value isn't primarily about military bases. It's about breaking China's monopoly on rare earth minerals that power everything from your phone to next-generation weapons. Whoever controls those resources controls the future, the same way oil controlled the past century. And the whole situation shows how the stories we're told publicly often mask completely different motivations. So here's the real question. If controlling rare earth minerals matters more than military bases, should the US focus on developing extraction technology and alternative sources instead of trying to buy Greenland? Or is owning the territory itself the only way to guarantee long-term access when China starts playing hardball?